Take two.
Yeah, back again.
I don't know. You think it's probably bound to happen. You said you did some podcasting for a little bit.
Yep.
Did you ever end up with audio that wasn't usable?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is a huge pain.
I think that's just part of the gamble of the nature of this podcast, interviewing the, I don't know what you want to call them, the average Joes, the common
Yeah,
hunters.
for sure.
Can't really expect them to have nice podcast headsets. So what's going on, man?
Man, freaking been getting whooped by the dang deer I'm hunting. Other than, just work and everything else.
For all our listeners, Weber and I actually recorded a couple weeks ago, and I went to edit it a couple days later, and sounded like he was chewing on tinfoil or something. I don't know what was going on with the audio, but we're back at it again.
Yep.
Work's keeping you pretty busy, huh? Why don't you fill our listeners in a couple minutes on what you do outside of hunting?
Yeah, so I'm from Mississippi. I'm a dentist. I do a lot of things outside of hunting, but
Let's go into this dentist thing. How'd you end up getting into being a dentist? I think you told me on the last one, but listeners probably want to hear this.
so one of my best friend's dad, he was a dentist, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do for a long time. My family farms, and they pretty much told me from the time I was a kid, they're like, "You're not farming. You got to go to school and find something else to do." But my best friend's dad was a dentist, and man, he was a big hunter. Uh, Traveled all over the world. He was just a great bow hunter, really. And he was just like, man, you need to look into dentistry. Uh, it's a good career. And that, I mean, I didn't go into dentistry because I wanted to hunt, but
It helps.
it does help. Yeah. Um, when I looked into it, it fit me really. Working with your hands, growing up on a farm, and I wanted to do something in healthcare. But I didn't really want to do a residency if I went to be a physician, and so I was like, man, dentist it is, I guess.
I'm just kind of curious. How smart do you have to be? I mean, you probably have to be, I don't know, 3.3 GPA or above, but what part of it is just being naturally smart versus seeing something you want and going after it and being dedicated?
Um, I wouldn't say I went to when I was in dental school. There was a ton of people in my class who weren't just like there were some people who were just like brilliantly gifted and they could learn something like it was nothing. But most of us, are pretty average. Just like I mean, smart enough, obviously, but not like a genius. I don't have a photographic memory, things like that. It's more so just like, are you good with your time? Like, do you know how to study? Can you, make sense of things? Uh, Dental school was hard. It was really hard. I hated it. I mean, no free time really. Uh, did not get to hunt much at all. Uh, but to get in dental school was extremely challenging. Uh, I had I think a 3.98 GPA, and I had to get 2 undergrad degrees to get in on top of playing college baseball because I got rejected my first time.
Average? That's not average.
I mean, I guess you gotta be kinda smart, but, like
But you don't really have to be that smart to get a 4.0 GPA.
right.
I got 4.0 a couple of semesters, and it wasn't natural. I had to bust my butt and go to school and study for 8 hours because it was community college. But they're like, you're not going to get in Iowa State. I'm like, watch me.
Right, exactly, yeah, see? It's the same thing, like, you know what you gotta do, you know how hard it is to get in, so you gotta, do what you can to make those grades, I guess. Um, and I just graduated in May, so I'm just now seeing, like, the light at the once I got through the tunnel, because 10 years of college was brutal.
You have to go for 10 years. So how long did it take you to get your undergrads?
Uh, so I ended up with two undergrads, actually two bachelor's degrees and a associates from a community college because I played baseball at a community college first. Uh, but the first one took 4 years, and then the second one I had a minor, and so I just went ahead and finished it in two. And I didn't apply to dental school my senior year because I was off playing summer ball somewhere. So it really only took me two tries to get in. So really, I was in undergrad for 6 years.
I was gonna say didn't think dentists had to go to school for an additional 6 years. My buddy, he's a peds dentist. I need to get you in touch with him because where you used to have a lease, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in Missouri, he's buying ground left and right, that bastard.
Golly.
He's a peds dentist and he had it all mapped out where he wanted the big bucks, and he's like drawing it out on a map. Okay, these are where the ped dentistries are. These are where the gaps are, and wanted to be somewhere where there wasn't one within so many miles. Like, and he's in the northern part of St. Louis, and he's raking it in.
Golly. Yeah, more power to him because I couldn't do it. Uh, some kids are fine, but most of them, they're just not. It's hard to do dental work on a kid. It's hard to do dental work on an adult half the time, but a kid is freaking brutal.
You're not looking at my teeth, man. It's not good.
Dude, my dad hates the dentist. He's got the worst teeth, and he won't even come see me.
Who's this?
My dad.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it's so bad.
I've had a lot of cavities, but I probably only had, it sounds like a lot now, but a couple since high school in 15 years, which isn't great, but most of mine came from when I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, that ain't bad at all. I mean, as long as you still got them, you're doing good. I see a bunch of people that ain't got them.
Luckily, my body gives me warning signs because I used to be bad about flossing. I'm like, why are my teeth so sensitive?
Yep.
And then finally, I was 35 when I figured out that flossing every day keeps this sensitivity long gone.
Yep. It helps for sure.
You wouldn't think taking care of your gums would impact your teeth being sensitive, but by God, it does. For me,
Yep.
anyways.
Yep. For sure.
I'll have to put you in touch with Casey. When he was going to school, he did a bunch of, I don't know, courses, probably not courses, but research on, it sounds bad when you say it, the pressure points, or he's like, if you got a kid acting up doing this, you just grab him by the shoulder and just put some slight pressure on your thumb and stuff like that. And I'm sure he has some wild ones where he regrets what he's doing.
That's pretty cool, though. I did a stint when I was in dental school of research. Man, I hate research. I can't stand it. It is not my cup of tea. But the Mississippi State Deer Lab, they're pretty well known, around the country. Steve Damaris and Bronson Strickland, they wanted to do a study on deer teeth. You age deer by their teeth, and they were saying that even the deer in their pens that they have on site, eating the same food, like same pen, their teeth would wear differently. And so they were like, really how accurate is Asian deer by their teeth? They said after like 3.5, you're pretty much just guessing. And so they came to the dental school because we had the resources to uh, do research on teeth. And I was the one pretty much in charge of it. I volunteered because I thought it was cool. And it ended up, we just didn't, there was zero funding for this project. Our research guy at the school, he was not a hunter. He had no freaking clue what we were trying to do, what was going on, and he could care less. And so it ended up getting washed, and we pretty much found out nothing. Um, I think you probably could if you had the right people and the right tools doing this research. But like with me being in dental school and super busy, I didn't have the time to go do all this stuff by myself, and then like the research coordinator didn't care, and uh, it was just it ended up being a wash. But a cool thought for sure. I really wanted that to turn into something, but it never did.
That's kind of wild when you think about it. I suppose deer are like people. My teeth wear pretty fast. I'm probably going to have to get whatever you call them, not crowns, but because I'm a naturally tense person.
Me too.
So my teeth naturally wear down more than other people's, and I'm sure deer are probably the same way. I want to go back to this aging deer. When you were talking about that, I was thinking, I'm not a science guy. You'd think there'd be a way to just snag a piece of DNA. Like when you're talking about that, I was like, why can't they just drill in the teeth and do like some sort of, probably not a DNA test or something,
Like a genetic testing or something.
like count the rings on the tooth or something.
I've heard of that.
Is that really a thing?
Not in people.
No, but deer.
Somebody somebody told me it was. I had never heard of that, but somebody told me it was this year. Now I have no idea if they know what they're talking about or not. Um, but I've always just gone by, how the wear on. I've looked at enough jawbones in my life, just like the wear. It's normally on that third tooth, I think. Maybe like the first premolar. I can't remember for sure. Is like the first tooth they look at, and then the further back the wear is typically tells you uh, how much older they are.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to know how old they are, but it's pretty easy to tell if they're a yearling, 2.5, 3.5.
Yeah,
I can usually tell 4.5, and then it's okay. He's an old SOB if he's 5.5 and
yeah.
above.
After that, it's like, yeah, we can hunt him.
Yep. Now jumping back into the hunting, what was hunting like when you were younger? I imagine you were following your dad around for a little bit, or did he not take you out until it's time for you to actually do some hunting?
I think when I first started going, I think he took me squirrel hunting. Um, I was always with him, like in at our camp or whatever, but I don't really remember going out until I was probably like 6. But I remember going squirrel hunting with him when I was young, just kind of following him around. But I didn't really deer hunt until I was like 6 or 7. I think I killed my first deer when I was 7.
7. You didn't deer hunt until you were 6 or 7. God, that's probably like 12 or 13 or 14.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people down here start hunting earlier. I don't know why. Um, but it's pretty common down here to start young. But most people in the Midwest that I've seen talk have said they didn't start till they were like 12 or 13.
Yeah, and part of the reason is I think you can do youth hunting, but I mean, technically you could go youth hunting during any season, but most of the time around here, you go in back half of September, what have you, and you're done the rest of the year. Then the parents want to do the hunting on their own, but
Yeah.
it's just different. What was the hunting culture like in your dad's group? You said you kind of remember following him around. Was that deer camp or what?
Yeah, at deer camp. My dad really wasn't a big deer hunter, uh, until I got older. Um, he was a big duck hunter. Until I was young enough or old enough to go deer hunting, he was duck hunting all the time. And, it's kind of funny because like, I don't duck hunt at all, really. Like, every now and then, and we used to when I was a kid, freaking wear them out, and now we don't have the ducks down here like we used to, and so I pretty much just decided I was a deer hunter, as I got older. Um,
What do you think caused the shift in or the drop in ducks? Is it less ducks or just different migration patterns?
I think it's a different migration pattern. Man, we used to have them big time along the Mississippi River, and now we just don't have them like we used to. They don't get down here until super late. I don't know if it's more people managing for them up north, or if we aren't managing for them as much now. Because like the farm ground down here now, nobody's really keeping stuff flooded for ducks. We used to when I was young, but now they pretty much just work everything up and get it ready for next year, and don't want to fool with flooding it and dealing with it, in the spring.
Do you think that's just part of farming culture or just because duck migration pattern has changed?
I think a little bit of both. Because I remember we would flood fields when I was younger, and then as I got older, we would quit. We didn't have any ducks, and so my dad was like, "I'm not flooding fields to not have any ducks."
Sounds kind of crazy going through all that effort. And any farmer in the Midwest would just cringe when you think about that. But how were you flooding the fields?
All of our stuff is irrigated. So I'm from the Delta in Mississippi, so like the northwest corner, and it's all flat, and so everything is irrigated for the most part. You got well motors and stuff to water your fields with, so pretty much just turn them on and let them rip, and it'll be flooded.
Crazy to think about. I mean, it can't be cheap.
No, I have no idea, but I doubt it.
Then maybe you don't remember. Was it constantly having to turn the water back on? Or was it just the soil just so gumbo like where water doesn't soak?
You can, most all the fields have like a way to drain. If you board up those like culverts and stuff, the water pretty much stays on there. And then, in the winter it rains a lot, so that helps. Which we hadn't had hardly any rain this year. I feel like it's been dry, but
No snow.
man, I can't. It's like 70 degrees right now.
Are you kidding me?
Dude, it's been so terrible. Like the deer hunting. Like, thank God I killed the buck I wanted to kill in October, because it has been just atrocious. And it's like there's no cold in sight. Like you look at the forecast and it's all like 70s and 50s.
It's the same way in Iowa. I don't think there's a high temperature below freezing in the next 15 days, which probably sounds crazy to you, but normally January it's high of 15, so it's 25 or 30 degrees higher than average.
Yeah, I killed a big deer in Missouri, 2017, with a muzzleloader. It was like right before New Year's, and it was like -10. It was freaking frigid.
What year was that?
I think 2017.
2017? I'm trying to think. It was probably around 2020. One of the bigger deer I ever shot was the high was -5.
Oh my gosh.
It was perfect because I went out both days in the weekend. First day, same temperature, just super windy. The next day, I almost didn't want to go out. 0 degrees doesn't feel that bad if the sun's out and it's no wind.
Right. Right.
And that's how it was. It's just perfect. And got out there around 2:30 and was tagged out by like 3:30.
Golly.
Doesn't happen that often.
With a bow or
Muzzleloader, late muzzleloader.
okay. That's what I was about to say, man. Sitting there with a bow and 0 degrees. Woo.
It's perfect because where I hunt, the landowner lives there and it's a small field. It's a 40, so I can shoot across most of it. And it was just 4 pallets in a square with one on the roof, right off the corner. Like I could reach my hand out and touch his back fence. So I got out there. The deer were already out. They skirted to the woods and they came back out 15 minutes later and there he was.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta come out. Like, it's so cold, they have to, they gotta feed. That's the same thing when I killed that deer. I mean, I was seeing, like, hundreds of deer in the afternoon because they had to come feed.
Did you have a food plot and all that stuff?
It was like I don't remember if it was cut corn or cut beans. I think it was beans.
And that was in northern Missouri.
Yeah, it was like I think we were on the Iowa border.
That's that farm that you guys don't lease anymore.
Yep. He got bought by Cliff Lee, the pitcher for the Phillies, or used to be the pitcher for the Phillies.
Did you know how good that ground was at the time?
Absolutely not. It was huge. It was 3,000 acres, and it was I mean, in the middle of freaking nowhere, just deer everywhere. Uh, we had no idea what we had. We had it that one year, and I might have been the only one that killed a deer. Um, but I mean, he was a good deer. But golly, supposedly, now I could be. This could be a lie. This is what we were told, but supposedly Cliff Lee didn't like it, and he was going to lease it back to us. And he sent some buddies out there late muzzleloader season, and they were bow hunting, and apparently they videoed 2 deer that would have been in the 200s, and he was like, "No, I think I'm gonna keep it."
When you showed me where that was, I couldn't believe it because you were basically bordering one of the best counties in the what I think is one of the best counties in the U.S. just across the border.
Yeah. We had no idea. I mean, we knew it was probably good just because of being next to Iowa, but we didn't know what we had until uh, we hunted it late that year.
Oh, don't put all of Iowa under this blanket of giant deer.
Right.
There's places in Iowa where you'd be lucky to kill 130.
Yeah. No, I believe it. Um, yeah, I hadn't been to I hunted, we got that new lease and I hunted last year, uh, but I hadn't been there this year at all.
What part of Missouri is that in?
Just a north central. It's not far from Columbia. Um, but yeah, just a north central area. It's a nice spot. There's not really giants running around everywhere. We did have a giant on it last year, and I watched him 4 days in a row, and he was with a doe, would never leave her, and would never come within like 80 yards of me. But he was freaking huge. He was the biggest deer I'd ever hunted, and then he ended up getting killed by the neighbor in rifle season.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you were watching him, did you ever consider ditching the tree stand, getting on the ground, trying to do a spot and stalk?
Yep. So they would bed in the corner of this field, like the opposite corner of me. And the wind would be at their back and they'd be looking out into that field. And there was like, kind of like it was a creek, but a big creek on their back side. And the leaves were real loud, but it was pretty windy. And I was letting my bow down. I was going to go down and get in that creek and walk the edge and see if I could stalk him. And about the time my bow hit the ground, they stood up and like walked out in the field. And I was like, geez. And I had to freaking like pull it back up
They're
because
coming
I
my
thought
way.
yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, the older I get, the more I start thinking if you see an opportunity, or even if you don't, and you don't have a big deer around, you got to go find them. You can't wait for them to come to you.
Yep, I completely agree. I can't stand like the waiting game. Uh, I'm all about like get in there, go find them. Or if if you're not getting him as frequently as you'd like to, or if he's not showing up in the daylight, like you got to make an adjustment and figure out where he is showing up in the daylight.
That's something that CrossFit probably helps with. It's not easy work army crawling across the ground.
Oh, I freaking dude. Uh oh, losing my losing my screen here. Uh, a couple weeks ago, I was walking in. I think we talked about this last time. And in the dark, and in like the moonlight, I could see a deer in the road in front of me. And put up my binoculars, and I could tell it was a big body deer, but I couldn't see his horns. And he ended up going across the road, and I knew it had to be the deer I was hunting because he's the only one in there that's just like a freaking tank. And so where he crossed the road, there was nothing there but like 75 yards until he hits a river. So there was no way I could have gone because he crossed the road right where I walked to my stand. And so I backed up and freaking army crawled like under the canopy of the trees on the road. And freaking skirted through the woods, got in the tree somehow. And about the time I got in the tree, I could hear him coming back. And I was like, "Oh man, he's about to come in here. It's gonna get daylight, and I'm gonna kill him." And he freaking walked in, and as soon as he hit the trail that I kind of paralleled in on, he freaking smelled me and just kind of he stopped and just kind of like sat there for a minute and turned around and eased off. I couldn't ever see him because it was dark, but I know it was him just by the way he was walking.
They're so nonchalant about it too. Some of them will, as soon as they smell something, they'll take off running. But usually the big ones, they'll just kind of stop and like,
Yep,
something doesn't seem right. Think about it for a little bit, casually walk off.
yep, that's exactly what he did.
They're almost kind of dumb. Like they're really smart, obviously, but compared to a mature doe, they're pretty dumb.
Man, it's like those freaking does. I mean, it just blows my mind how anal they are about freaking everything. Uh, man, I'm not gonna be able to talk. I'm over here coughing.
All that pop you're drinking, man.
I'm telling you, and I normally don't. It's like a Coke Zero, zero sugar, zero caffeine.
Okay, yeah.
It's such a dentist and CrossFit drink. Uh, but yeah, those freaking does. Like, so I've been hunting in Louisiana, and Louisiana you can bait. In this place, everybody baits. I've never hunted over bait. I've found that I freaking hate it. Uh, this year being the only year I've ever done it, dude, they'll come into that bait and those does, they're constantly just like they'll feed for a second and then they'll look, and they're just up and down, and then like if it's multiple does, if one's got her head up, the other one's got it down. As soon as she puts it down, the other one picks it up. It's like I don't even know how you'd shoot one.
I never thought of that. That's one disadvantage to bait piles. I can't stand when does are around me in a tree stand.
No doubt. I'm like when they come in, I'm like, please get out of here. Like I do not want you here.
That is by far my favorite time to see a basket rack during the rut because you know they're going to come in
Yep.
looking like Goofy and chase off the does. I'm like, thanks, buddy.
Thank God. I know. I passed up a deer 2 weeks ago. A good, I mean, like big deer, 150s probably. And same thing, had all kind of freaking does in there. And I was kind of debating on whether to shoot him because I know he's a young deer, but man, he's for, I mean, 150 something inch deer. I don't know what your listeners in Iowa might think of that. We don't have 150s running everywhere down here. And he came in and ran off all those does, and I was like, well, that would have been my shot opportunity because I could have easily grabbed my bow. Uh, I passed him up.
But when you're in that situation, like you're talking about, and you have half dozen does on a bait pile, and a buck comes in and even gives you an opportunity to shoot, it's still pretty damn tough to get your bow back with all those eyes on you.
Yep, you gotta freaking just pray that he's got them distracted enough, or that there's enough chaos going on that if you do blow one out, he's just kind of just look and not really run off or something.
If you're in that situation, you got a lot of eyes on you. Maybe you've been in this situation, maybe you haven't, but picture it, bunch of eyes on you, does, maybe a little suspicious, and a shooter buck comes in and he's walking within shooting range, gonna give you a good shot opportunity. Where's your focus at in that opportunity?
Man, it's hard to say because it kind of depends. Most time I'm just worried about him, trying to read him, and if I think I can pull something off quick enough to where if something blows out of there, he's not gonna, he might just stop or he's not gonna just freak out. I might just risk it. Uh, but if he's kind of acting funny and everything else, this freaking, I don't know. That's a tough spot to be in for sure.
I think what I would do is, I would probably keep him in my peripheral, good or bad, right or wrong, and my eyes would be on those does with him in my peripheral, and I would gauge when I pull back off the does if they're kind of
Right.
suspicious. until it got to a point where he's about ready to walk out of the picture, and then I would risk it. But
Yeah.
I'd say 80% of my attention is on the does in a situation like that. Something I didn't even think about when I was younger.
Oh no, definitely not. Uh, Thankfully, most of the bigger bucks I've killed have been by themselves. Thank God. Yeah,
Too easy, man.
I guess so. For the early season, most of the time, I would much rather hunt October than I would hunt our rut because, man, freaking. We talked about this last time, but you know, the South is just it's just big blocks of wood. It's just big blocks of trees. There's no like pinch points. There's no, you know, there's nothing that you can be like, okay, he's definitely bedding in here. You know, most of the time they can travel however they want to travel. And so if once you get out of that early season pattern, it's like, man, flip a coin of where he's gonna be. You might can get lucky, but a little before the rut and kind of know an area he is and maybe rattle him in or catch him coming by like a acorn tree or something. But it's just you, man, it's hard to hunt like a true like travel corridor down here because even even what I found is like if you do know deer are traveling through here, uh, like the main trail where all the deer walk, the big deer won't use it. They'll be, you know, that'll be your shot is on that main trail, and then he'll be out there at like 45 yards in the brush, walking through all the crap, and you can't get a shot on him.
Isn't that amazing? The timber I hunt, and this brings up another topic I'll touch on. Super thick. He used to have cattle in it. Stopped putting cattle out there, so a lot of multiflower rose bushes. It's a 40-acre timber, and if you're not watching your phone or the sun, you will walk around in circles shed hunting. And then one year, I cleared a path out right in the middle, super open, 10 yards wide, and I started sitting on it. And sure enough, the bucks would walk through that nasty stuff that they had to move around to walk 5 feet. Like I have to belly crawl through it, and they'd rather
Right.
walk through that than the open trail.
Yep. They're freaking. They're like a. I mean, they're a different animal entirely, and each one of them has their own personality, and so it you know if you're gonna like target a specific one, you almost have to figure him out. You almost have to like learn his personality to even give yourself a chance to get him in bow range.
And that's 100% right. You notice it on cameras too. Some bucks are just more, let's say, photogenic. They don't mind being on the camera. And those are probably same bucks where if you bust them out of their bed, they're probably going to be back the next day. There's probably personalities of bucks that if they smell your boot tracks, they're going to move 2 miles away.
Yep. I was hunting a deer last year, and he like this year the deer I'm hunting, he's been living in like a 20-acre circle. You know, it's a big block of timber, but like I've never had pictures of him outside of these like 20 acres or 20-acre area. Even within that 20-acre area, like he's only daylighted 3 times all year that I know of. And well, maybe 4 times because he daylighted twice last week when it was 19 degrees and I was at work, and then it got back up to 70 and he hadn't daylighted again since. But with that being said, last year I was hunting a buck and I would get pictures of him on the same night within 2 hours, a mile away from each other. And he would do it every time. Every time I'd get a picture of him at one spot, a couple hours later, I'd get him a mile away at another spot. Uh, and he did that all year, not just there, but like went ended up kind of shifting. And I was getting him on one side of a big road, and then he would cross the road and I'd get him on like 3 other cameras on this other freaking piece. And I was like, I mean, how am I even gonna hunt him because he's just, that 1 minute he's here, next minute he's 700 yards away. And I actually freaking had him, I thought. And I was like, I'm gonna kill him this weekend. And one of my buddies in dental school actually passed away, and so I couldn't go hunting. Had to stay down there and you know, for all that. And he daylighted 2 days in a row, right? I mean, right in front of my stand. And by the time I finally got to hunt him, I was in the tree. I got a picture of him on my cell camera at 11:30, and he was 200 yards away. And about an hour later, somebody shot him in the rifle.
Sucks, man.
Yeah,
What do you mean daylight? Out in the open during daylight or on their feet during the daylight?
just like in front of my camera in the daylight.
There's a lot of people that talk, and I've never figured it out, but their main focus is on the bedding area. And they'll sneak in there and try getting right on top of the deer. And they always say, and it makes a lot of sense, the deer are up and moving during daylight,
Oh yeah,
just where you can't see them.
yep. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. Like they move. Deer move all day. They might not move far, but they're on their feet. And sometimes you just got to get on top of them to see them. And that's what's hard about the South is like you don't know where the heck they might be bedding because it all kind of looks the same. Even if you have a good idea, it's these deer are weird. They don't. You would think they bed You would think they'd bed here, and then you get a picture of them bedded down like in the wide open, and it's like that don't even make sense. Why would you bed there? But they know how to survive.
Do you follow our page on Facebook, don't you?
Yeah,
Have you been seeing any of the reels, specifically one about Nose Jammer?
yeah. So I commented on it because all the hate comments were unbelievable, talking about hunt the wind, scent control doesn't work, blah blah blah, all whatever. And I'm like,
See, that's why I bring it up. I hunt a similar property to you. It's flat, it's square, and the side I hunt on is 500 yards long. And there's no way you can sit in a tree stand and know that the deer are always going to be upwind of you. You
yep,
just don't know which trail they're going to use.
exactly. Um, I've never used nose jammer, but I'm a big fan of ozone, like ozonics, and really more like not even necessarily ozonics, just like using ozone to like clean my clothes. Um, one of my majors in college was chemistry, and I had a biochem teacher that was really good. And I talked to him. He wasn't a hunter or anything, but talked to him about ozone as it was kind of becoming popular. And dude, the science behind it freaking makes sense. And man, it works for me. Uh, I've killed who out of my 5 biggest bucks, I think 3 of them came in from downwind. Uh, Using that ozonics and using just ozone to clean your clothes, and I don't. There's no way to completely eliminate your scent or even cover it necessarily. I think it just does enough to where when they smell you, they don't think you're there like right then. They might think you're further away, or you were there earlier but you're not there now. Just something to where they're not your scent isn't so strong that you register as a threat.
And you said it perfect. You might be 30 yards away. They might think you're 300 yards away.
Yep. You're never going to completely beat their nose. I think they have. I read that they have 297 million scent receptors in their nose, and they think that's a like a low number. And I think we have around like 5 million, and a bloodhound has like 220 million. So I mean, they're just like so far ahead of us. That like a drug dog, you can put drugs in like a Ziploc bag and then wrap it in a garbage bag and then stuff it in a gas tank somewhere and they'll sniff it out, you know.
How do you know this?
I was told, I read it
No.
somewhere. Yeah, no, that's never happened to me, I promise.
I swear by nose jammer. I've never had the issues with deer walking over my walk-in path and spooking. I don't know if it's just rubber boost, but if I use nose jammer, they definitely pick it up when they come in. But it's almost like I wonder if it's kind of like I don't know if you smelled something that was really hot and all of a sudden you got a stuffy nose or something.
Yeah.
Either that or it's just a cover scent because they'll get on alert and it's almost like it calms them down. I've never had one smell it and bolt off running,
Right.
and they come downwind all the time.
Even just having them be used to your scent. Like I don't when I scout, when I check cameras, all that, I don't use any scent control, whatever. Lee Lakosky talks about this all the time. He's like, you know, we live on our farm. We're constantly driving in and out, doing stuff in the fields. He's like, our scent is everywhere, and so they're used to it. Like they live there. You know, it's not like uh, a completely foreign scent to them. And so, by the time you hunt, if you do, you know, use some type of scent elimination or something to throw them off, it just makes them, you know, it's just a scent that they're used to. It's not like an alarming thing uh, that you're there, and they, you know, they probably just think that you were there earlier or you're, you know, further away. They just don't really, and you know, even when they do catch your wind with all that, typically they don't like blow out of there. Like I was hunting a swirling wind a couple weeks ago, and my thermals were just falling to the ground, and I just knew I was like, man, I'm gonna get busted by all these does. And I had my ozonics, and I had you know all my clothes were cleaned in ozone, and they would catch whiffs of me, and they you know they'd stop and they'd look, and they couldn't really pin me, and they'd stomp a few times, but they would never like bust out of there. They just kind of be like, you know, I know something isn't right, but it never really bothered them. You know, like if another deer came from upwind and started feeding or something, it would like put them at ease. Like, okay, that's not really bothering them, so maybe I'm all right.
Bring up a great point because I kind of got the impression that a lot of the people that were like, "Oh, that stuff's stupid," are probably people from the south where the timbers are a lot bigger. Like I hunt a 40-acre timber, and the deer. I mean, it's a 2 mile by 1 mile section, and there's 7 or 8 houses in that section,
Yeah,
so they get a little more exposure to people. But if you're hunting in the middle of a 10,000-acre timber, 4 miles away from a house,
yeah,
if something's out of place, they're probably going to be a lot more jumpy.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I could definitely see it, you know, in places that deer never see a human or smell a human. You know, they catch a whiff of something that's probably going to throw them off. Uh, But even then, like the people commenting that hunt the wind, hunt the wind. Man, the wind down here never blows straight, ever. It swirls every day. Like the wind is always, every time the weather channel or weatherman tells you which way the wind's going to blow, it's going to blow the opposite for a while. It never blows straight.
Even in when you hunt in Missouri, you have a lot. I mean, Missouri's obviously going to be a little bit better than Mississippi, but you have those terrain features that force deer to move within a certain area. You have your ridges. If a deer's going to follow a path within this 500-yard wide path, they might be confined to a 50-yard area because of a ridge or draws and stuff like that. We just don't have that where I hunt, and it sounds like you don't in Mississippi either.
Nope. It's definitely, I don't want to say it's easier hunting, uh, but it's just, you know, it's just a different game when you're hunting stuff like that.
Patterns are easier to predict.
Absolutely. One time I had a deer. and he was coming to a spot, and he wouldn't ever daylight, and I was trying to figure out like which way is he coming from, like so I can try to get closer to where he might be during the daylight. And I freaking surrounded this area with cameras. I mean, every place he could have entered from, every direction, I had it covered. And the sun gun ended up right in front of the camera where he always did, like he just popped out of the freaking dirt. He didn't go by any of the other cameras. I was like it makes no sense. And then, then you'd get him on one camera one day, and then you get him on a completely other camera a different day. And I'm like, this is the only place I can hunt him because this is the only place he is consistent enough to even, give me a chance.
Is there a lot of ridges where you hunt in Missouri?
No, it's more uh big rolling hills, nothing super ridgy. It's almost a little mountainous. Like there's a few places that are like kind of steep mountains, but the fields are all kind of just like rolling. Uh, and the place isn't really big enough to call it like a ridge.
The old Missouri farm you had, if you wanted to hunt like an edge of a timber and it was 1,000 yards wide, there's more than likely probably only like 4 or 5 places that deer's going to come out.
Right, because of the way, everything, it's like you got bottoms and ridges, and so you can kinda narrow it down, yeah, when it's flat, it's like flip a coin.
So yeah, you might have 5 main travel corridors, but where I hunt in Iowa, there might be a deer trail every 10 yards where I hunt.
Oh, absolutely, and that's how it is down here in Mississippi. It's just insane. uh, there's a reason, like, your big buck gurus don't come from the South because it's number 1, we don't have the number of big deer, and, number 2, it's just that much harder to pattern them.
What can you use to your advantage? In Mississippi, is there anything you can use to put yourself at an advantage on a big block of timber that's flat and no real defined travel corridors?
You gotta find the food is, like, the first thing I look for. That's, like, the only thing you can narrow them down to. My dad's real bad about, we'll be getting a picture of a deer on, like, an acorn tree, and there's really no tree to hunt that acorn tree, and he's like, "Well, we'll just put the stand, uh, 75 yards off of it on a trail," and it never works ever because he might enter from that trail once every 2 weeks. Uh, so you gotta hunt the food, and then, man, just I'm the type of person, I'll move my cameras as much as I need to until I get him showing up in the daylight enough. Not even really enough, just if he shows up in the daylight, I'll hunt him right there, and until he's not showing up in the daylight, and I gotta try it again. Uh, it's a lot of just trial and error, and, ass in seat is what I call it.
There's a lot of, I'm sure it's the same way where you hunt in Mississippi. The deer aren't necessarily always on trails either.
No, nuh-uh. Uh, like we said earlier, you'll have a trail that all the deer use, and then the buck you're hunting, he'll be the one deer that won't use it. He'll be 50 yards away, uh, in a thicket.
Because there's a lot of places where it's probably not any easier to walk on a trail for the deer than to walk on the unbeaten path.
We have a bunch of roads on the property we hunt, and a lot of the deer, like, will just travel the roads. And my dad's like, "We're not hunting on the freaking road. Like, that's stupid." And I'm like, "Well, that's where he's walking." Like, I'll hunt in the freaking kitchen if if that's where he is gonna be.
For sure. What about the property I hunt doesn't have any creeks? Do you have any creeks where you're at where, at least if there's a creek, maybe you can pinpoint where they're more likely to cross?
Not really. We have a few sloughs. but most time the hogs and stuff will stay around those sloughs, and so you really don't find a lot of deer around those sloughs. That's why we have a lot of cutover too. So it's it's like I wouldn't necessarily call it. It's kind of hardwoods. It's more like bottomland type woods, and then cutover and field like food plot type stuff. And so there's really, I mean, they just don't like those. We don't really have creeks. It's more of like a swampy type. Anything that holds water is kind of swampy. And so they just never, and most of the time around it is like open woods. And they just don't really hang out there much.
The deer kind of like it when it's swampy. The big bucks, anyways.
Yep. I mean, sometimes they will. But it's hard to explain. It's like everywhere that there's like a swamp type thing is full of hogs, and so they just don't really come there a bunch. And there's typically not a lot of food. There might be some persimmon trees or something, but we got a bunch of black bears and hogs, and they'll freaking ravage those persimmon trees. And sometimes you'll get a buck coming there, but a lot of times you don't.
Do the hogs outnumber the deer?
I don't think, but they're like in pockets. There's like there'll be 30 that live together, and uh, if you're in them, the freaking deer do not like them.
How often do you see hogs when you're deer hunting?
I don't see them much because I don't like hunting where I know they are. But you'll see them every now and then. My mom likes to hunt where they are, so she can shoot something. But I'm typically if I know some hogs are around, I'm like, get me away because I don't want to be fooling with them.
How hard is it to keep up a food plot with hogs?
As long as you can get it up, we got a bunch of rifle hunters where I am. So if the hogs they've kind of gotten smart to where they don't really come out in the food plots too often. Uh, but they will tear it up early. Like they'll eat the seed out of the ground. They don't really root it up too bad. I guess we don't have enough of them to really make them do that once the food plot is up. But they'll get in there and eat the seeds, before it's sprouted and stuff.
Do you have any big hogs?
Yeah, where I've been hunting in Louisiana, it is unbelievable the freaking ginormous hogs that I've been getting pictures of here lately. But I hadn't hunted anywhere near them.
That'd make it so hard to even bait deer.
Oh, it does, dude. The reason I can't kill the deer that I'm hunting right now is because of the hogs and the bears. The freaking bears have just like taken over. And we're not baiting with corn; we're baiting with rice bran.
With what
Rice bran.
the hell is rice bran?
It's like a byproduct. I don't, man, don't get me lying, but
Sounds like a cereal.
when they like mill the rice in like the wherever, it's like a byproduct, and deer freaking love it.
Really?
Yeah, don't know why. It's literally just a powder, and dude, they love it, dude. They'll stuff their nose in there, they'll lift it up and just be like white.
Cocaine?
Yeah, that's what it's like, and but golly, the freaking bears where I'm at, they'll just like lay in it. And I mean, I don't even know that they like it, but so you buy some like bags of rice bran and it'll have like acorns cut up in there or something, or you buy like a bag of acorn rage or something and it's got, little, they like mill it up with corn or something. And so they like the corn and dude, they're there all in the daylight. So like the deer I'm hunting, he ain't showing up in the daylight because they're there.
The bears don't mess with the deer, do they?
I think they do. I personally have never experienced it. I was convinced for a while, like, oh, they don't, uh, like a bear's too lazy to even try to kill a deer. But I saw a video not too long ago of it was a mama doe and a fawn like standing in the road, and a bear walked out, and so the mama took off, and the fawn just kind of like squatted in the road, and that bear ran over there and freaking got her and took her.
Black bear?
Yeah.
I suppose if it's an easy target, but I don't think they do the damage like wolves do in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and we got a lot of coyotes too, where I've been hunting in Louisiana. It's a lot of predators. Uh, we have some coyotes in Mississippi, but not near as bad as what I've been dealing with in Louisiana. Which also, I'm brand new to hunting over bait, so I might just suck at it.
Can't be that hard, is it?
Dude, I said the same thing. I was like,
This is gonna be easy.
this is gonna be easy. Like, I'm getting pictures of these big deer. Like, I'll have them dead October 1st, and had an opportunity that uh actually on the same deer I passed up, and that's been the only one that's given me a freaking opportunity besides the one I'm hunting that's daylighted 4 times in 3 months. Uh, so I don't know. I mean, I've always heard stories like, oh, it makes him go nocturnal and this and that. I was like, just hunt him when he's not nocturnal. He ain't gonna be nocturnal every day. But here I am getting whooped by him. But I'm blaming it on the bears because I do not like them.
Do they have bear season where you're at?
Not in that parish or whatever. They have it around the state, but not where we are, even though we need it. 'Cause I got a picture of one the other day that was like 500 pounds.
Shoot them.
I know. Like, and there's a ton of alligators. I was like, dude, I got half a mind to freaking shoot one and just go feed him to the dang alligators and get him out of my spot.
Can you hunt alligators?
Oh yeah, they do. You got to get tags for them. I don't know how to do that, but they kill a bunch of alligators where we've been.
Have you ever been coyote hunting after dark?
No, but it looks fun.
If I could only hunt one species with one weapon the rest of my life, hunting coyotes with a thermal might give bow hunting deer a
Really,
run for its money.
I need to try. I know a guy who does it pretty freaking heavily, and he posts videos and stuff on Facebook of the shots and stuff, and it looks pretty freaking sick.
Shooting a giant deer is going to be more rewarding, but it's just
Right.
so fast paced. You're moving every 15 minutes. If you're out of the action for 10 minutes, you're moving. It's just
Oh yeah.
so action packed. There's one night, man, me and my buddy went out as cold as balls, and we shot one the first sit. We did 6 more sits, didn't see anything. Almost drove home, and we'll hunt this one spot. Sat there getting ready to leave, and then all of a sudden I'm like, great, I think there's a coyote coming. Shot it. Then by the time we turned the call off, we picked up another one. I think, like, didn't see anything. Then one after another. I think we killed 2 of them, but we called in 3 or 4 in a row there. There's one time
Jeez.
I was with a buddy and it's flat, and I think we saw some coyotes looking out the window, and I think we called in like 11 pups at one time.
Golly.
We didn't even know what to do. They just came at us so fast. Where they all? You'll be looking through a scope, not see anything, and all of a sudden, 20 yards away, a white dot will flash in your scope because they're running away. Like it looks flat, but they'll find the smallest little draw in the field where you can't pick them up, and then all of a sudden they're 20 yards in front of you.
Golly. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it.
It's so fun, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it sometime.
I sold all my stuff, but there for a while I probably had 15,000 worth of thermal optics.
Jeez.
Well, I had to have a scope and a handheld for my buddies.
Yep. That's what makes it fun.
2 thermals and 2 handhelds, I think, for a little bit.
God, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's what makes it fun is going with your buddies.
Nobody wants to go out with your buddy and have to take turns on the
Yeah,
gun.
pass a gun. Yeah.
Highly recommend. It's one of the most fun hunts you can do.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it.
So, what do you have left for deer season? How late's it go where you're at?
We close in Mississippi January 31st, I believe. But I probably won't be hunting in Mississippi anymore, just because I killed the deer I was after. And I've been hunting these deer in Louisiana. They go into February sometime. I honestly hadn't planned that far ahead because I figured I'd have them dead by now. But they don't even rut where we are in Louisiana until sometime in January.
Are you
Like they're
kidding me?
still, Dude, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like the does are still bunched up, the bucks are still in bachelor groups. Like I mean, we just now are seeing like scrapes pop up in the woods, and it's just the most frustrating thing. Cause I'm like, I'm waiting, after the 1st of October, like once they got off that summertime pattern, now it's just like I'm waiting for 3 months before anything happens. It's just like just crazy to me because we rut in Mississippi like Thanksgiving where I'm at. Uh, and so I'm like, early season, and then there's kind of like the October lull type deal. But then like our acorn trees will start dropping sometime early November, and so you can kind of hunt them while they're still kind of hitting the food sources, and then you're kind of into the rut. Um, but golly, I feel like I've just been twiddling my thumbs in Louisiana, just waiting on something to change.
Have you ever looked at the United States rut map?
Oh yeah,
If you could hunt all 50 states, you could plan it out where you're hunting the rut for 6 months straight.
yep. I don't think they rut in Florida. They rut like in June in Florida or something like that.
It blew my mind. I looked at it on another podcast interview we were talking about, so I pulled it up. There's a little pocket in the Florida Panhandle or Georgia where it's maybe like August, and then there's like 4 different peak ruts, or there's 4 different can't talk. In just the state of Florida, I think there's pockets with peak rut in 4 different months, just in Florida.
That's crazy as it is, but Louisiana's the same way. Uh, I don't know if they imported a bunch of deer back in the day, but if you look at Louisiana, it's like split like that. You have like an October rut, a November rut, a December rut, and then like we're the January rut.
It blows my mind because you would think, okay, if temperature had something to do with it, you would think, okay, the rut would start earlier and get later as you go south. But
Yeah.
as you go southeast towards Florida from Iowa, it might get later, then you go a little bit further, then it's earlier, then it's really earlier, then it gets late. I just don't get it.
Me, that, they say that it's based off the photo period, like same for turkeys. That's kind of how they're wired, is off of like how many hours of daylight are in the day. But I've also heard like temperature has something to do with it, where like, these does have to be bred by a certain time so the fawns can, survive the following winter. But I don't understand, you know, why one state would have so many different ruts, because the photo period's about the same and the temperature is generally about the same. So it's like, yeah, I'm sure somebody more educated than me knows, but I don't have a clue.
Pulling it up right now.
You need a little podcast man in the corner, like, hey, look that up for me.
Theo Vaughn.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
Theo Vaughn does it like, hey, pull that up for me.
Yep. See, that's how. See, the Louisiana is like split into 4.
Okay. Southern Florida, August.
Oh my
Then
god.
September, October. And then there's this little pocket that's January. And then it goes to October. Oh, here's a little November pocket. And then it's November as you work your way up the Panhandle, December, January, February. And then it goes back up to November. It blows my mind.
It makes no sense.
Okay, for our listeners, this is hard to explain. If you put the peak rut in a month, let's say Iowa's November, and Texas is whatever, December. In Florida, there's peak rut in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I counting right?
7 months.
I think these are the same color. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 months of rut in Florida.
You could literally just drive. You could start in August and drive north and just hunt the rut a different month each time.
All the way through February.
That is so insane.
Okay, part of it makes sense if you were to get rid of this little pocket here in this pocket, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. But there's this little pocket where it goes August, October, September, January, October. Whoop, got some ads popping up. Then what causes this little pocket here where it's December and January? Then you have this 4-county pocket that's November.
It makes no sense. They had to have imported some deer in that area or something.
95% of the U.S. is November, but you got 7 months of rut in Florida. Out of all the deer facts I've seen, this is probably the most mind-blowing.
Yeah, I agree. You need to get somebody on the podcast that studies it and understands it. Or maybe, have you had anybody from Florida?
Oh, yeah. I think I've had somebody from Alabama, and I think the guy from Alabama, God, I'm terrible with states. Which one's Alabama?
The one with the little circle of November?
Here?
Yeah.
And this is Georgia,
Yep.
Louisiana, Mississippi. I think he was right in here somewhere because he said his rut was in December or January. Then I had a guy from Florida that was right in here, but he says one of his buddies peak ruts in August, so clear down here.
That's so crazy. Like, why would they rut earlier where it's hotter?
That's what I don't get. Weather is not
Yeah, definitely not. I thought it was the photo period. I thought it was like the length of time in a day, but I don't know.
I should make a TikTok when my social media goes through hot spells and cold spells. Like once I throw a couple heaters out, then everything's gonna blow up. I think I'm on the way back down. I was at 500 followers until about October 30th. Then I just had a gal on talking about deer eating sawdust, and it got 800,000 views.
Oh my gosh.
And this was October 30th, or I think I released it 28th. And I'm pretty close to 6,000 followers now. I think I've had 2.5 million views in the past 2 weeks.
Jeez.
You go through heaters, it'll calm down, then you throw out a really good one that gets some good interaction, and then everything starts heating up. But I'll have to make a TikTok like, you hunt in the US, you're probably hunting November rut, and then just kind of slide it like, unless you're in Florida, you can hunt August, September, October, November, December, January, February.
That'd be a good one.
So what part of Mississippi are you in?
So right now I live in like the southern central area, right around Jackson, more or less. But I'm from the northwest corner up there where it was showing the November rut. Uh, and that's where I hunt in Mississippi, is up there in the Delta, along the Mississippi River.
Do people play that game of traveling to different parts of the state to hit the peak rut?
Not really.
You could, especially in Louisiana.
Yeah. It Mississippi's kind of weird because the rut isn't as universal as it is in the Midwest. You know, pretty much in the Midwest, like that first week of November is like on fire. Uh, Down here it's like sporadic. Even when you are in the peak rut, like if you aren't around the action, you might be looking at like a bachelor group of bucks or something, and it's just long. It's like longer and more drawn out. Uh, and so there's never like a surefire week or something that you're like every deer in the woods is on fire. And I don't know if that comes from years of importing deer to different places and it just kind of throwing things off, or what, or if it's just like the big blocks of timber, you can be isolated in a spot that the does aren't hot yet, whereas like half a mile over they're on fire. I really don't know. It's just kind of weird.
So I'm reading this. It says many heads have been scratched over the odd mix of southern rut peaks. Whitetail breeding dates range from narrow in the north, where fawns are born outside a slim window in the spring, are not likely to survive their first winter. Too broad in the tropics of Central America. Peak rut dates form a piebald pattern that just doesn't jive with the broader North American. And it said, Jason Summers, now the deer project manager for the Missouri Department of Conservation, decided to tackle this question for his master's thesis while a graduate student at Mississippi State University. I should try getting him on.
Yeah,
I bet a lot of people would tune in for that episode.
dude, the Mississippi State Deer Lab is like one of the most well-known deer study places in the country. It might be number one, honestly. I know there's something in Oklahoma, but Mississippi State is definitely up there. They've done some big time research.
Yeah, these pairs of populations that are different are truly different. In some cases, the early population will be done breeding before the late population starts, and they're separated by less than 30 miles.
Yeah, it's weird, dude. It's like, it's so hit or miss. You never know what you're gonna get. Like you know, you can't just. That's why everybody from the South strikes out to the Midwest the first week of November because they want to see a rut. Because down here the rut's just so sporadic.
Without getting too many details, it talks about the maternal lineage. So, maternal DNA and okay, maternal lineages are very different, very, very different. The differences we observed are subspecies type differences. I bet that's what it is, subspecies.
That's interesting.
It can't be weather,
Yeah, it's got to be something genetic.
and maybe like you're talking about, somebody came with a trailer full of deer and dropped them off or something.
Yep. I definitely know there was deer imported into Mississippi and Louisiana in certain pockets from like the Midwest or like Kentucky or just like random places that could definitely have an effect on it.
The peak rut where you're hunting at, you said is December?
It's typically in Mississippi like end of November, first part of December.
That's not too much different. I think it's a touch before mid-November where we're at.
Yeah.
How would you describe the rut where you're at? Is it just a 2-week window where it's balls to the wall, or is it kind of spread out?
It's pretty spread out. I've never just seen a rut that was just like everywhere you go, deer running crazy. It's always like hit or miss. You're either in it or you're not, even on the same property. Um, some hunts, it's like there's a hot doe and there's bucks running everywhere and there's deer running everywhere. And then you move a couple hundred yards and it's like you're not seeing anything. Or what you are seeing is like feeding in a food plot, not really doing much. Uh, I personally hate the rut. It is my least favorite time to hunt. I'd much rather hunt in October when I can pattern something.
Yeah, peak rut sucks. I think peak rut would be really good if, going back to your situation where you had that bruiser, that stomper in Missouri, where he was bedded down with a doe. If you had timed it right, you could probably do a spot and stalk. Especially where we're at, there's a lot of crop fields. So, and I don't know, you've probably never been up here or far enough north, but a lot of crops. Do they call them sections down there where it's outlined by roads?
Um, Not really. But some places are in sections, but most of your hunting land isn't.
But you're always going to have four corners around each property, or four roads eventually. In Iowa, the four roads are always square, and it's always 1 mile by 1 mile, and it's flat. So if the deer are out feeding, the deer are going to be seen.
Right.
And I've never done it, but the people that drive around, spend days driving around and peak rut, finding that doe out in the open section, bedded down with a buck, and can do the spot and stalk, they kill some big bucks.
Yeah. Lee Lukoski said he was like, if I see a buck locked down with a doe, he'll be dead within 48 hours. And he was like, because wherever they are, that's where they're comfortable. And he's like, that's where you need to be. He's like, you need to go hang your stand right there. Uh, just learned that recently.
You got to be extremely, extremely cautious about going in there when they're locked down now.
Yeah, either that or you go in there and blow them out and expect them to come back. I don't. I really don't know. It's so different down here. You know, there's so much woods. They're not as visible. You're not really gonna if they're bedded down somewhere. You ain't gonna see them unless you just happen to be in the tree that they bedded down by.
What kind of area do they bed down in down there if they're locked down with a doe?
Dude, freaking anything, any kind of thicket or brush top or tall grass or sometimes anything. There's never like a surefire like, okay, they're bedded right here, or this is where all the deer are bedding and they come out to feed. Even like the thickets, like when we go shed hunting, dude, it'll be a big thicket cut over, and you're like, all right, obviously this is where the deer probably bedding to come out in this big food plot. Like, let's go walk it and look for sheds, and you won't find a freaking shed. You won't find a track. It's like it makes no sense. You find a lot in dewberries. They like to feed on dewberries. Uh, but just like a random thicket, it's like,
Buck is locked down with a doe in Iowa. Our timbers, at least where I'm at, are kind of chunked up. It's like a 40-acre block here, maybe a river bottom. They always take the doe away from the timber. They'll get her out in the open and move her away from the timber. And I was just trying to compare how it is down where you're at with the big blocks. Are they just finding like a thick patch in the middle of the timber or what?
yeah, pretty much like a fallen tree or like, just anything that's thick, uh, to give them some cover. There's really nothing that dictates it sometimes. It's just strange, really.
Oh, I just interviewed a guy from Virginia, and I was telling him we were talking about the different terrain features and stuff like that. He's talking about West Virginia, and he's like, "Man, it's just solid timber." I'm like, "Okay, yeah. How thick can it be?" I kind of got looking like, "Holy crap! It's like, look at that.
Yep, that's how we are. Yep.
Are you kidding me?"
Except we're flat.
Okay, I'll show you where we're at. See this solid break of trees?
Yep.
Now you don't see them. That's because it's all crop, man. Not gonna show this on the podcast. I don't want people to know where I hunt.
Yeah.
So all these are wide open fields of crop, and it's flat.
Tree lines.
This is a pretty nice river bottom. It's probably the best hunting in the area, but like that's pretty good timber. But this timber right here is where I hunt. If a buck finds a doe, they're not going to be anywhere near these timbers. They're going to come out and bed down on a tree line here. We got more CRP, so they'll do that, but like it's a little more open here, so they'll bed down on the fence line. Got a couple of terraces here. They'll run them a mile to get them away from the big timber.
That's so crazy. We're the exact like that little bitty block of woods right there wouldn't hold any deer down here.
I was trying to explain this to people on that nose jammer post. It's flat. It is 400 yards roughly. 400 yards.
They can walk out anywhere from that.
I bet there's 30 or 40 deer trails crossing this fence here in 400 yards.
Absolutely. Yep.
There's a piece of property we don't hunt anymore, but if I can get my bearings straight. Okay, here it is. So where we're at, people will do deer drives and they'll push stuff like this, maybe this river bottom, but we're the only one that could hunt. This is 1 mile by 1 mile. And this little pocket here, it sits up a little bit higher. Deer can bed in here and see here, and they knew they were safe. And we'd always push it after everybody was done. I kid you not. There's been several years where we've pushed over 100 deer out of here.
That is so insane to me. If that was down here, dude, there wouldn't be a deer in it.
It is 6 acres.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
That was when it was peak deer drive. You'd drive around, you couldn't go a mile without seeing a group, and they'd be pushing this and pushing that and pushing that, and deer know where they're safe, and that's where they'd go. And they could always see a long ways, and they always had a good escape route. It was hard to walk that section with 10 people. The deer could literally go anywhere and totally bypass the standards, and they knew that. And you could push 100 deer out and come back the next day and push 100 more out.
I saw a thing the other day. It was saying that the white-tailed deer survived the ice age, and that they basically were living, with woolly mammoths and like saber tooths and like all these other predators that are in. We only know them from like museums, and it's like they just know how to survive. Their survival instincts are just incredible.
Well, we'll go back to when we're doing deer drives. This is all private stuff that you can't hunt. So we'd always maybe have a stander there, stander there, stander there. And then maybe somebody would come in here, somebody would come in here, and you'd have 3 people walking the river bottom. Then you'd have a vehicle on the road here, here, and here. And the deer could either, you would never know if they're right here or here. And sometimes they would just bolt out and go this way, and you'd have to try to cut them off a vehicle. Sometimes they'd follow the river bottom. Sometimes they'd follow the river bottom and come across and go this way. And they're just so smart. So like on this other one we'd have standers here and we'd walk this whole mile section. And as soon as the walkers got to about right here and maybe a big buck was in front of them, the big buck would come to about here, then come back and get behind the walkers.
Jeez.
My dad said he's literally seen them get on their knees and crawl through a ravine to not be seen.
I mean, their survival instincts are just insane. They're like, I mean,
He's had one play dead before. I think he was wounded. For all I know, it could have been knocked out or whatever. I was a little kid, but one of his buddies in deer camp shot it, didn't kill it. And my dad is always kind of a smart aleck, and he is walking up to it and, of course, shot in the ground. So everybody would think he shot it, playing a prank. The deer got up and ran away.
oh my gosh, that's freaking nuts.
Dude, when we were pushing deer and, there'd be people on the road, you can't get away with that now. The deer would do crazy stuff. Like, we got a pretty big cattle farm, a couple thousand head of cattle. They'd just run right through it to avoid the people, and it was a lot of fun. You'd see some crazy stuff, dude.
They're incredible animals. I freaking love them. They get me going.
It won't be this week's podcast, but next week is the guy from Virginia, and apparently Virginia split down the state with a major highway. And on one side, it'd be like hunting in Iowa, you can push deer or whatever, but the other side, you can use dogs. Isn't that crazy?
It's just like, I don't know who comes up with half these freaking laws.
I don't know. Looking at the map where it's giant, giant blocks of timber, 20,000 acres. I mean, it's probably hard to do that much damage with dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you would think. I agree. I mean, that's how we are, just ginormous blocks of timber. I know some people do still hunt with dogs, but I don't know how you do it.
You can hunt with dogs where you're at?
I think so. People talk about doing it. I've never done it. But people say they do it.
Something I'd want to hunt with dogs sometime is coyotes.
Oh yeah, I've seen videos of that. That looks freaking insane.
Like the decoy dogs are greyhounds just hauling ass.
Both. I've seen videos of both.
So have you seen the videos of where they're driving in like an old beater and
Yeah,
they unload the greyhounds and they're just flying across the field
just
trying
hawk
to,
them down.
like the truck's just bouncing up and down across the open. That's how deer hunting was in Iowa at one time.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Because you'd push them out of the section and they wouldn't be going towards the standard, so you got to cut them off with the vehicle. It was a lot of fun. It's not that Not that kosher anymore, but it was a lot of fun while
Yeah,
it lasted.
too many purists.
Too hard to getting away from the DNR now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Before we wrap this up, you probably got some good stories to share with us. We usually finish with some embarrassing stories.
Yeah, I think I told you my first hunt story last time, and then a different one. I hadn't thought of any more since then. I meant to text my buddies and freaking forgot. I guess I'll tell that my first hunt story. I think I was 6, and me and my dad took me, like, you know, first deer hunt. I had like a pellet gun, and I'd been practicing, and I think he had me shooting like a 22 and stuff, getting ready so I could shoot. And we were in like a 2-man ladder stand in the wide open. I remember there was like no cover, nothing. And like a small group of bucks were coming through the woods, and he's like, get your gun and get the gun up. And I mean, they had to be like 25 yards. They're so close. I remember when I looked through the scope, I could only see like his head because it was so zoomed in. And I was trying to get on him and everything. And he's like, all right, you ready? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, Matt. And I freaking just fell out laughing. It caught me so off guard. I just busted out laughing. I had no idea why he made that noise. And then I remember looking up at him like, why'd you make that noise? And then all the deer ran off.
You didn't know it was a deer noise or anything?
No, I didn't know why he made that noise, but it freaking killed me. I just like fell out laughing.
Kind of like he farted or something.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Just, uh, I was like, what are you doing? And,
No concept of, like, you still need to be quiet. Like, kind of let your guard down a little bit.
it threw me for a loop. And of course, the deer stopped, and I wasn't thinking like, oh, he's trying to stop him or anything. I was just like, what? Like, why'd you make that noise?
He probably gets a good kick out of it now and then.
Oh yeah.
What else you got?
Oh man.
Was it you that said something about not lifting up a rail or something? Was that you?
No. My other story. This was a buck. I was 13, hunting by myself. It was like one of the first times I'd ever hunted by myself. And this deer, we'd been getting pictures of him all summer. We like planted a food plot for him. And my dad always left to go to Illinois like the first week of November. And for whatever reason this year, he was going, and it fell right on like youth season. And this was back when like the trail cameras, we still printed them off, like took them to Walgreens and got them developed and had like the full like 4x6 pictures of them.
When a photo album means you actually had to like flip through them.
Yeah, literally. Uh, And so he's like walking out the door, and I remember I threw him the picture of this deer, and I was like, "I'm gonna kill him while you're gone." And he's like, "Yeah, right, whatever." And it was like my first time hunting by myself, and I'm in this stand, and there's the food plot we planted, and there's some does out there. Or no, this is so. Let me back up. I'm in the stand by myself, dude. I I had to take a dump so bad. I made it to the bottom of my ladder and took a dump right there. That's as far as I could make it. Climbed back up in the tree, and I'm like, this is my first ever hunt. I just ruined it. It's like I'm not gonna see anything. But ended up some does came out in the food plot, and I'm watching them, and I hear something behind me. Turn around, and it's the deer I'm hunting at like 30 yards, rubbing a tree. And I'd literally just taken a dump at the bottom of the stand like 30 minutes ago, and he's like downwind. He's like downwind at 30 yards, and I killed him. I guess it was cover scent. I
Cover
don't know.
set.
Yeah.
You know, you're the 37th, 38th interview, which is crazy to think about already, but I bet 10 of the most embarrassing, 10 people, one of their most embarrassing stories is revolving around poop.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like I mean, you get out there, you get in a freaking bind. It's like, what do you do?
I mean, everybody poops.
Yeah.
All right, man. It's been a lot of fun. I'm kind of glad we got forced to redo it. This one's going to turn out a lot better.
Oh, you think so?
I think the last one you feel a little more comfortable. You went into the
Yeah.
last one feeling like it was an interview, waiting for me to ask you questions.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll get any super big hits from any clips of anything, but it was definitely good.
Oh, I always find them, man. I always find them. All right, man. It's been fun. We'll be in touch.
Heck yeah, I freaking enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
You bet. Take care.